So I'm
Hi,
gonna
Cindy.
Hi, John.
Hello.
okay. So Cindy, I made you the host, which means you're in charge of the WebEx. You don't have to actually do anything. It's just so that I can log off without it ending. So it's already recording, so you can start normally, and just when you leave later, it will automatically end the WebEx. So there's really nothing to worry about.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Have a good meeting, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see, how many of us are here? Let's go around and just, this is John Forbes. Cindy, you want to pick up and put us?
Cindy Taylor.
Carolyn Wakeman.
John Noyce.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Russ Todd.
Deanie Mallory.
Hi.
Hi.
I think we have a quorum. At least, so if why don't we call the meeting to, or Cynthia's asked me if I would just kind of be the talk through the agenda and so forth. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'll stop at places so that anyone can jump in if they want to, if they have a point. I'll try to make sure that we're very good about providing space for people to make points. I'd like to call the meeting to order. The first item of business is approval of the minutes. Do I hear anyone? Do I hear a move to approve or a move to wanting to open discussion on any point?
Captain.
I have a couple of points, John.
Good.
There's a line in there that says in the discussion of the banner, which says which, referring to the banner, which must be brought to the commission, or something like that. You have a copy?
Okay. And your concern?
Well, in light of our discussion, it's an open question whether it must be brought to the commission. That's the question that Tim was going to refer to the town council. So I don't think we should be on record that it must be brought to the commission if in fact it's illegal for the commission to consider the issue.
Right. Then why don't we do two things? I mean, my suggestion on that kind of question is we will not vote on these minutes and make sure that we double check with Tim before our next meeting.
So that's fine. We could also delete the language. It still reflects the action that we took. Just delete that phrase.
The only thing that I would say is that at least as long as I've been involved, this and in the past two historic district handbooks, that has been the language.
I recognize that, and I set out why I think that's inaccurate. Anyway, I just am reluctant to have us continue to say that. But we could hold off vote. We can also hold off voting.
I think we should hold off voting so that we get Tim's input, and then because obviously if it's in our handbook and we need to change that, that's a bigger deal.
The other thing is a minor point. I think it was Tim, not me, who suggested that it be referred to the town council.
Okay.
I mean, the BOS, the Board of Selectmen?
I'm sorry, to the board. Yeah, no, to the town council.
What's that?
That's our lawyer.
Attorney.
Oh, counsel, lawyer, not like.
I'm sorry.
People. Okay. Yeah.
I'm with you, Deanie.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I had.
All right, well, let me say,
Hi, good morning.
good morning.
Good morning. Sorry.
Who's that? Is that Deb?
Yes, I'm going to try and jump on, and I just have to get that link.
Okay. I think on both those questions, I think what we should do is delay the approval of the minutes and then make sure that we double check with Tim. And then your other question is straightforward. Okay? Is
Sure.
everyone comfortable with that action? All right. Hearing no comments, then we'll follow that. And I will make sure that I'll follow up with Tim. That I talk to him at least weekly. So it's fairly simple for me to do.
Yeah, I had followed up with him, but I didn't get a response, or tried to
Okay.
follow up with him.
I use the walk-in approach. But I'm
Sounds
very
better.
close to town hall, so it's easy to do. Are there? With Martha not here, I know of no communications that we should deal with. Does anyone else have any knowledge on communications? Cynthia, did she bring anything up to you?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Why don't we then go to the public open forum? Do we have any members of the public that are here? Okay. Hearing none, let's go to the next item, which is the plaque program update. I received no information from Martha about any about the plaques. Cynthia, did you?
Not.
Hello?
Did not.
You did not. Okay. Does anyone else have any information or anything they want to bring before the group relative to the plaque program?
No.
For our two new members, I would encourage you to email Martha and ask her to kind of give you. She's got some material on the plaque program that would be very helpful. And
And I already have those. She sent them on to me with the map of
Okay.
the town property, and I even read the newspaper clipping about the
Good.
Saturday morning breakfast. So I'm up to date on all that.
all right.
Do you,
I'm
Carolyn,
also-
do Carolyn and Deb have copies of the new HDC handbook?
No, I really would like that.
Are those?
No, I did not get a copy.
Okay, we should try and get you those. I think they're upstairs at the town hall. I'll make that my job to get those to you.
Thanks, Nene.
Yeah.
Davey, thank you.
Let me say, when you're looking at the new version, at the very back, something that Deanie was actually the spearheaded, but there's a very nice map of the historic district, and then a listing of all the nonprofits that are located along. It's very, very helpful and very clear. I just would ask you to kind of take a close look at that, because it's the best illustration we've had that combines the physical characteristics and some of the major players in terms of nonprofits along the route. Deanie, would you like to add anything to that?
No, but we are proud of the new handbook, so I'll make sure you each have a copy of it.
Good, thanks.
Okay. And the other thing is, if you have this handbook and you have the list of buildings, I guess the one that I have that's most recent is the listing that's put out by the Lyme Historical Society. It really, between the two of them, you really can get a much better granular feel for what's in the historic district. And I guess this is the Old Lyme Historical Society walking tour. There have been several very good walking tours put together, but this is just one I'm currently representing. But between the two documents, you really get a much better feel for the sense of the place.
The only thing I would add is one of the things we did add was a list of all of the activities and events that take place in the historic district. So we attempted to display it as a living area, not just as a physical area that contains historic buildings, but a place that's still a vibrant part of our town. So that was something that we added.
Good.
Okay.
And I would say also, we welcome any comments from existing and new members about additional ideas, not so much additional observations about how we can quietly but effectively communicate what the historic district is.
John, I have one more question. May I ask you quickly?
Oh, yes.
Is it possible for all of us, but for me to have access to the historic plaque research that Martha Hansen has done? I know she's not here. Maybe the rest of you have access to that information, so that it would be very helpful to be able to look at the research that she's done. She's so very excellent and thorough at that. And I would like to access it online if it's available.
Well, why don't you call or email? The easiest way with Martha is to email, then set up a call. But email Martha, and because the information that's collected is public information.
Okay.
So there's no issue of access. And I would just encourage you to talk to her, and I'm sure she'll be pleased to kind of make sure the information is made available to you.
Great. I just wondered if the rest of you had that information. I wasn't sure.
No.
Well, we've gotten a little bits and pieces over the years, but not collectively at one time.
Okay, great. I'll check in with Martha. Thank you.
All right.
Another source of information may be the website. I know we had discussion about, for example, posting on the website a simple title search submission for people who were interested in plaques. I think we were going to use John Forbes's search. So I'm not sure whether Martha has that posted yet, but we have discussed increased use of the website as a source for information.
It's nice to be living in the smallest house in the district, so that it won't be a huge lot of information. But by the way, it was. I'll get serious for a second. We learned an awful lot about our house through the plaque research, and so I think we found it very helpful as we think about what we have and our responsibilities. Okay, anything else on that? All right, we're a little ahead. I guess we have about 4 minutes. If anyone else has something they'd like to bring up while we wait till the actual time for starting the hearing, please fire away.
John, I wonder if you or Russ could fill in the new members about your research project into, or preliminary research into other non-houses, other structures in the district.
Well, we really haven't started any of the research, but we can talk about the project. You want to brief them on the project, Russ, and then as we're envisioning it.
Sure, John. One of the first items that I have done a little research on is the idea of using the GIS system to help us identify what's in terms of auxiliary buildings in this district. And then what I discovered is that the historic district layer is actually not on the town GIS. So I think that's the first question I would raise for our group here is, should the historic district outline be added to the town GIS map? And I think that's a pretty simple thing to do. And I think it would be helpful relative to identifying the auxiliary building. Once that's done, we have a pretty good indication of the buildings in the district, and then the ability to photograph those and document those items. So that's kind of what I've gotten to this point.
Russ, just for
I will start.
since I'm new
I'm
to
sorry.
this, for background, by auxiliary buildings, do you mean sheds and barns and warehouses and that sort of thing? Is that what you're describing?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
we're talking
exactly.
and barns, yes. This whole thing started off about 10 years ago. We were worried about signs in the district, and the Historic District Commission at that time put together just an inventory of the signs. And out of that, we summarized some characteristics that when people ask us about signs, we could give a common answer to, and so forth. And a large number of the newer signs conform to that expectation. And it wasn't a question of writing rules and so forth. It was more a question of being able to say, here are the signs, and here are the ones that we like. And so, at a minimum, we thought that by inventorying the auxiliary buildings, we would be be able to reference those buildings we liked and those buildings we didn't. Not because we were trying to apply a judgment to that. More that people come to us for suggestions, and we would have a listing of the appropriate place. The other factor was that all of us, the number of auxiliary buildings are growing. Alice and I built one. Our next door neighbor built two. The next door neighbor built one. And so the feeling is that this is just an inevitable part of the evolution of the district, and it's something that we ought to be able to keep track of.
It also, I think there was some discussion about down the road posting information online, perhaps about houses, but also significant outbuildings, so that there's kind of a thumbnail sketch online of when houses were built, and perhaps some bits of helpful background information about them. I know that's in paper form with respect to some of the houses. It's in paper form in the Old Lyme Historical Society brochure, but I think that could be a very useful and educational function.
There was also the historic survey done by the town. It was made possible by a grant from SHPO. It was done 2 years ago, and we discussed it in one of our meetings. I'm not sure anyone's ever seen it. I don't know, John Forbes, whether you've seen it. I know that Ned saw it.
I have not seen it.
That's another document that I think should to change some of this information.
Right.
I think you could find that at the town hall, in the selectman's office, I would think.
That would be very helpful. Yeah.
It's,
And I
it was,
think the other thing we have is that of all of our institutions, some of the best documentation is available on the FloGrizz property in individual buildings, and so forth. Including a pretty substantial study before they did the remodeling. Kind of at the same time they were doing the Kriebel, they did also some remodeling, if my times are correct. Substantial upgrading of the Florence Griswold house, but there's also information on the two barns behind the house. Anyway, I think all of this will end up giving us a much deeper appreciation of the town and the evolution of the town. And Carolyn, I know that you carefully tracked some of the background of the building. You were writing your the document we were talking about earlier.
That's right.
Okay. It is now, is there anyone here for the public hearing on the Ferry Road sidewalk replacement?
Yes. Good morning. Joanne DiCamillo, Chair of the Tree Commission.
Hi, Joanne.
Joanne.
How are you? And
And,
former member of the Historic District Commission.
We miss you.
Oh, thank you.
Wade Thomas, I'm the engineer on the project. Good morning.
Hi, Woody. Okay, would you all like to do your presentation, please, or discussion?
Yes, Wade Thomas from Nathan Jacobson's office. We're the civil engineer on the project. What we're proposing is reconstruction of approximately 1,000 lineal feet of sidewalk. The existing sidewalk is 3 foot wide. There's obvious tree root impacts to the sidewalk with sidewalk horizontal and vertical displacement. There's areas that are really heaved vertically that they've corrected with bituminous concrete. And what we are proposing is replacement of the existing sidewalk with a 4 foot wide sidewalk. And initially, we were thinking we would hold the roadside face and then expand 1 foot back. Unfortunately, there were several right-of-ways that encroach right on the sidewalk, and that would entail having to obtain several temporary construction easements and permanent easements. Consequently, we've revisited it, and we've decided to hold the north face aside from the road as it is now, and then shift it to the south or roadward the extra foot. Now, there's some areas where there's some latitude for horizontal adjustment, but in the area, particularly west of Lieutenant River Lane, it's very tight there. The 3 foot sidewalk is very tight. There's shrubs encroaching into the sidewalk on the north, and then there are 2 mature trees on the south. And on the westerly portion of the project, there are 2 trees that we are proposing. Ed would like to remove, Ed Adante, the Public Works Director, to remove. They appear to be in very bad shape. I've reached out to Tom Degnan and the Tree Commission, and we would like to remove them if we could, and also we would like some direction on if we have to replace them with trees, what type of trees would you like to see, and also if you have any specific recommendations on tree protection. Obviously, we're going to have very rigorous tree protection of the existing trees to remain. Construction fencing or other recommendations that you see fit, but it's pretty straightforward, I think. But I just, obviously would appreciate any input the commission could provide us or direction. that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, there's going to be some pavement markings, obviously, across Lieutenant River Lane, but by and large, it'll be a continuation and tying in to the east end by Lime Street, and then to the west end to the existing 4-foot wide sidewalk. I think that might actually be 5 foot on the west end, but we'll be tying into that.
When you say pavement markings on Lieutenant River Lane, what do you mean?
Just the typical crosswalk, the white, the stop bar for the intersection for the cars coming down, and the white striped pavement markings, which is required as part of it. And we've also prepared a steep application as part of this because there are maybe funds available and that sort of thing. And we've also planned on, if we don't have specific direction from Tom or the Tree Commission, we were going to retain the services of a landscape architect to give us specific recommendations on how to protect the existing drip line of the existing trees and that, to make sure that we don't damage the roots and that sort of thing. So there may be, we may have areas where we might have to elevate it a little bit, put crushed stone or whatever material they want us to put in. But by and large, the vertical will remain, unless we need to protect the trees. And that's pretty much the project in a nutshell. Is pretty straightforward. So if you have any questions.
Wade, I have three questions. The first is just a clarification. I want to make sure are you proposing that the sidewalk in its entirety be shifted toward the road?
Well,
because of existing easements, it would be too complicated to deal with, and because of the tree and shrubbery overhangs.
Well, what happened? The existing sidewalk's 3 feet. We're proposing a 4-foot sidewalk, and so if I held the south face, the side near the road, if we went 4 foot wide, we would be, on or just over some of the property lines, and we would have to obtain permanent easements for those projects.
Okay, so it's the extra 1 foot that would be shifted toward the road or added on the road.
Yeah,
side?
away from the road. Yeah, so that hopefully will negate the need to get any easements on the project.
I understand. Okay, thanks. My second question is, you talked about removing a couple of trees. Are there other trees that will remain that are not yet mature that might continue to grow and have roots that would disrupt the new sidewalk?
Well, we're proposing at this time to remove only the 2 trees that we show on the plan, and I think Martha forwarded pictures of the trees to you. One of them to me appears diseased, but obviously we're listening to Tom Degnan and the Tree Commission. But the other remaining trees, we're anticipating we're going to have some sort of root protection, crushed stone, topsoil mix or something, so we're not going to impact them. I want to specifically have a sidewalk in place that will allow for root expansion and that sort of thing without disrupting the sidewalk. That is our intent.
Okay. And my last point is, I don't think we have anything to say about the westerly reaches of the sidewalk. Is that correct?
Well, it's outside
because it's outside the historic district.
That's true, but we're willing to listen to whatever recommendations you have along the whole route. I mean, it is, even though it's outside the historic district proper, I mean, there are historic homes on there, and I appreciate what it is and what you would like to accomplish.
Good.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Joanne, since the trees are the key component, can you give us your perspective?
Yes, I will. Good morning, and hello, Mr. Thomas.
Good morning.
I received this information on Friday, so, and the documents, I didn't review them until late last night, but I did, after I received the information, I understand that you emailed Tom Degnan, but I did not hear about it until Martha sent me a note. I have some statements for you, but I also have some questions. And one of them is regarding what you said just now. I just want to clarify again where about this widening. So you'll be digging and removing, obviously, the existing walk and expanding the width to accommodate the new walk toward the trees, basically, not on private property. Is that correct?
Well, that is the intent. I mean, obviously, if you have concerns, I mean, we can speak to the first selectman and decide how we want to proceed in it. Dante. There's also trees that exist on the north side of the sidewalk, that are far less, but there are trees there. But yes, that's true. We would move it 1 foot closer to the existing trees that are located between the sidewalk and Ferry Road.
Because looking at these photos that I have, moving the walk 1 foot closer is going to really impact some of the larger roots of these trees. And basically, I would think that we basically would need to cut off the sides of those roots would, in my opinion, just looking at the photos of some of them.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
It would destabilize them. That's what I'm concerned about. And as I said, I just heard this morning. So it would destabilize them. I would think in some locations, they're old. They're already weakened by this serious drought that we've been in, and that's my concern.
Okay, that's
this morning.
I understand your concern, and it's a valid concern. I mean, they are very mature trees. To get over them would require maybe significant vertical, raising the sidewalk up several inches to make sure that there is no damage. And I understand your concerns. I mean, and I'm willing to, meet with Tom out in the field or you or in the commission or whatever to listen to whatever recommendations. I mean, if you, recommend that we moved it to the north, I mean, maybe we can obtain easements or whatever if Tim and Ed are so inclined to make those adjustments to get away from the roots. I mean, I'm willing to. I mean, I've left the design schematically now just so I could get some input from you. And obviously it's a work in progress, and I wanted to get input from the commission. If you have recommendations and that sort of thing, we want to incorporate them into the design. Absolutely. I mean, I'm totally on board with you. I mean, it's a very difficult project. I mean, the existing 3 foot wide sidewalk is right up to the trees, and if we have to shift it to the north and obtain easements, if that's what we need to do, if that's what you want to see done, I mean we'll do whatever we need to do. I mean,
I do know from past experience and from sitting on the church corner committee when that there were improvements made, that the residents of Ferry Road are very protective of their trees. So I think we need to work together with them for sure. The other thing I might suggest, I don't know if it would work. As I said, I'm just learning about this morning. But I'm wondering if, and the members of the Historic District Commission will know when I mentioned that, or can relate to what I'm saying. We had an issue right on Lime Street at the Children's Learning Center with the weeping cherry tree there. With the roots lifting when the walk. And what we did was we kind of circled the walk around the tree and then installed a root barrier, which prevented any roots that would grow in the future from lifting the walk. And it's been very successful. So that's just an idea. But I guess the best thing to do is...
When Tim Griswold was here at our last meeting, he referenced that project.
Oh, good. Okay.
And suggested that if that was required, that, you know, that was obviously, I know you guys.
A consideration.
Yeah, that could be if he was open to that, or was something that we should consider.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. I mean, and if I could get a copy of the plan or whatever with the detail, I mean, we'd be glad to incorporate it into our design. I mean, we're not looking to reinvent the wheel. If you have something, a design that works, that's been proven, I mean, we'll just incorporate it into this design. You know, we're willing to do whatever you need.
I don't know that I have a design from that church corner committee time, but that's just a suggestion, and I'm sure we can work together on it.
Yes, absolutely.
I do
actually,
have some.
It's very visible. If you walk up there with your cell phone, you can just take photographs of it, because I know I walk that, and I just automatically follow the route, so to speak.
Okay, I will plan on doing that then.
Now, Joanne.
Yes.
My understanding is, as one of the town's commissions, this should be formally brought before the commission, shouldn't it?
Well, yes. I was surprised, actually, that we didn't hear about it. I do know that you emailed Tom Degnan. Unfortunately, he's been involved with a family emergency. So, and he did not see your email. So, probably in the future, it would be best to get in touch with us, with the tree commission,
Okay.
as opposed to emailing him, at least right now.
Right. I actually had emailed him in the end of August or beginning of September, prior to our first meeting, to try to set up something in the field, and I should have followed up or called him or whatever, but I didn't have a contact number, and that's when I reached out to Martha, and she said that, you know, you would be working directly with us, and I apologize for that. I didn't realize you had I realized you had a meeting on I guess the 17th. If I had known that,
yes.
I would have sent the application at that time, and I apologize, but I will obviously, you know, I'll plan on, if we need to attend the next meeting. I don't know if you meet monthly.
We do. We meet on the third Thursday of the month.
And I've actually worked with Tom on projects in town, but I'm also I live in Waterford. I'm on a conservation commission, and I've seen him professionally with applications. He's been before us, and so, you know, I know Tom, and I'm, you know, again, we're willing to incorporate everything in. I apologize for not having this on your September 17th agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I do have some suggestions. These are guidelines that we've used in the past, and I'll just briefly go through them with you. And I'm sure you probably follow these guidelines, but just to give you an idea of what we expect. The first is, and I did review these with Tom on Friday. We would like to see clean root cuts using a saw.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And so they're not torn. That's what and small roots should be hand pruned. We're especially concerned about the young tree that was just planted 2-3 years ago in front of number 7, the McClaves. That's a young tree just getting established. So that is, we need to take extra care with that young tree. Tom would like to see a construction, what he called a construction envelope around each tree. Install fencing to keep the equipment away from the stems and the branches, and see that and the remaining roots are not impacted.
Okay. Yep.
Cover the cut roots with soil so they are not exposed to air. That will prevent them from drying out.
Now, is there any sort of application we should put on the cut roots before we cover them with soil? Like sometimes some recommended there may be an application. Okay.
We did not talk about that. No, he did not mention that. But The next thing is no parking of machinery anywhere near the root systems. They are
No,
not to
there'll be
parked
no,
on the shoulder.
there will be no equipment allowed within the drip line other than what we need directly to do
Exactly.
for the sidewalk construction. Absolutely.
Yes, under the anywhere under the canopies.
Yes.
We recommend installing the root barriers that we have used, the commission has used successfully, had installed successfully and the one instance I mentioned, which was the weeping cherry tree at the Old Lyme Children's Learning Center, and also in the front of Town Hall, where there were some roots from trees that had been removed. They were left and they were growing underneath the skirt board of the building. So we had those roots cut, and we had a root barrier installed all along the front of the building to prevent the on the south side to prevent any roots from encroaching and under the building again, encroaching that area. So
Looking
that's
for water.
Pardon?
The roots were looking for water.
Exactly. So that's something that we suggest. Is that in your plan?
Obviously, I was planning on incorporating everything into that plan that you have, except for the root barrier.
Okay.
I would appreciate any information you have if you could send it to me, and obviously we'll incorporate it in. I mean, I've been involved. We were the engineers of record for the Florence Griswold Museum, the Kriebel Gallery, and then also the additions they did to the improvements to the house, and then also the geothermal well field. So I'm familiar, with your requirements on those projects. We were working for Centerbrook Architects at the time on that.
Okay.
Except for the museum and geothermal well field, when we were working for Steve Parent at the time. He had us to work for him. So.
Okay, good. I think that's about all I have for now. I've covered everything. So you are familiar with tree protection, so it's
yes. We have that in the normal course of any project we do, any sidewalk project. We incorporate root cutting, root protection. The only thing is, if we're looking at maybe rerouting the sidewalks around the trees with the root barrier, I mean, that's something new to us. But we'll do whatever you require, and we'll also, before we put it out to bid or do anything, we'll have you look at the plans, and if you have any other modifications or requests, we'll incorporate them into the design as well.
When do you plan to start?
Well, depending on if the grant becomes available, it was supposedly like a shovel-ready project, but we would like to start, I think, ideally sometime, late spring. I don't really want to get out there early construction season when it's muddy in that, so we don't compact stuff in that. I would prefer to, maybe like April, May time frame, depending obviously on the severity of the winter. I mean, we might have a real winter this year and might have to start later, but we're not looking to start until late spring, probably mid to late spring at the earliest, and then through the summer if it takes that long. It should be a relatively straightforward project and should go quickly.
Yes. And will you be on site
Yes.
everything?
I don't know personally. Sure I will. Yes. We would come in, and I think we would have, obviously, when works around trees, we would be there to observe it, to make sure everything's done correctly. Because I understand your concern and the historic district's concern. It's a beautiful portion of town. I mean, and you want to maintain it that way. And we obviously want to maintain the health of all of the trees there because they're very mature, beautiful trees.
Yes. In the event that we can discuss if we can discuss the moving of the walk, expansion of the walk further on. If first we need to decide if we want to do if you can do these the sidewalk, circle it around the trees. If residents will permit. If not, then I guess we'll need to talk again about alternatives with expansion. Okay, I think we had a good conversation, John.
Thank you.
I have
Thank you.
Appreciate your input.
Joanne, stay on, please. Joanne?
I'm here.
Okay, good. I have a question. With our concerns about the trees, is there any possibility you would just replace it with a 3 foot as opposed to 4 foot sidewalk?
Would I have any concerns?
I'm asking the engineer.
I mean, if you require a 3 foot, I mean, obviously, the first selectman and public works director, I mean, I'm willing to do whatever the commission wants, and I'm sure they will too. And you know, I mean, 5 foot is preferential for public walks, but knowing the sensitivity of the district, I thought 4 was reasonable. I mean, 3 is what is there. It's very narrow. It doesn't allow people to pass by, but I mean, that probably doesn't happen very often. Maybe when there's events at the Congregational Church would be the only time where you have two-way traffic on the sidewalk.
Well, you know,
Let me just, Joanne, when your commission meets on this, I would encourage you to consider that as an option. I'm not arguing one way or the other, but I think that I think the case for the 4 foot needs to be compelling when you look at it versus some of the other things we need to do to avoid damage to the trees.
I would
We'll
just
do
like
that.
to say
Thank you, John.
that I'd like to say I use the sidewalk probably 3 times a day, and as many people do, and I don't think anyone is inconvenienced by the 3 foot width. People just step aside a little bit if they have a dog or whatever. You know, I think people are understanding of the fact that they're in this old neighborhood and this is the way it is. So
No, understood.
yeah.
I understand. I know exactly where you're coming from on this. I appreciate it. I mean, to me, 3 foot's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
I would say the other thing I'm going to suggest, Joanne, is that you all are having the next meeting, and obviously coming out of that meeting, since you're much more impacted by this. I mean, your responsibilities are much more impacted. We all want to keep our trees. So what I'm going to say is, I think the sequencing is they ought to meet with you with the tree commission, and then if you would inform us, it could be no more than a telephone call. Then we can do any kind of determination we need to do at our next meeting.
Okay, will do.
And I'm not trying to kick the can down the road, but I do believe.
No, I understand. Oh no, I thank you, John. Yes, I understand what you're saying, and thank you for including us. I did read actually that there was going to be that Ferry Road was the walks on Ferry Road were going to be widened. It was a project, but I did mention it to Martha, and then she followed up with me. So anyway, we're on board, and that's all that matters.
Okay.
And I also want to say before I close that to Mr. Thomas, I was very surprised to see 2 of the trees on Ferry Road. I knew that they weren't doing well, but going toward 156, I think they're flowering cherries or crab apples. I don't remember, but oh my gosh, they're in very bad shape.
Yeah, well, those are the ones that I think Ed Adante, the public works director, suggested they remove.
Yes.
We carried an allowance for replacement trees, and we would be looking to you for guidance on what species and that sort of thing on that.
Yes.
So
That's great. Okay.
And we'll incorporate whatever requirements you have into the documents.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. But is there any other comments from other members of the Historic District Commission?
I just want to say that as a newcomer, not knowing anything about the project, but I did read the materials that I was sent, and I do walk on Ferry Road as Deanie does, although maybe not as often, that it seems to me as if a 3-foot sidewalk is really the solution, because people don't mind stepping aside, in my experience, and it would solve these problems, and no easements would be needed and the trees would be spared. So I just want to give you my latter day observation.
Could I just offer that, you know, if we go with the 3-foot wide sidewalk, though, if we want to circle around the drip line or minimize root encroachment, we'd still need easements. I mean, we're right up against it, but you know, that's something I just want to make you aware of. You know, that even with the 3-foot wide sidewalk, if we curve it around the trees, we will need easements. And, you know, we'll obtain them if we need to, assuming the homeowners are, you know, receptive to it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other? If not, we'll go to our next item of business.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Now I've got to find my agenda. Excuse me just a moment. I have all kinds of paper here. All right. The next item is public hearing. Is the Lafayette Trail marker. Is there anyone here that's from the Trail Marker Group?
Cindy and I have been, and Martha, who is obviously not here, we've been to the site a couple of times, and
oh, good.
I believe you received the photographs that Martha sent.
Absolutely. It's a very nice package of information.
So, so I see that Julien is on the line. Yes?
I am here. Hello, everybody.
Hi. My question, Julie, would you like to say who you are?
Pardon?
Would you like to tell the other commission members who you are?
Sure. My pleasure. So my name is Julien Eicher. I'm a Frenchman. I work in this country. I'm the president of a nonprofit called the Lafayette Trail. And what we do is we work around the 25 states that Lafayette visited in 1824 to commemorate the stops that he made across all the states. So we're talking, you know, hundreds of communities. So we want to make sure Americans know of their connection with France through Lafayette and his legacy. And we have entered recently into a partnership with a foundation called the Pomeroy Foundation. And we are implementing a layer of commemorative markers around the country. And we basically contact towns and cities around the country to offer them the possibility to celebrate the visit that Lafayette did in their community, as long as those sites have the primary source materials to support the claim that Lafayette visited their town. So this is the case of Lyme. That's why I contacted the town. I feel like it taps into the Revolutionary War, of course, as he visited the house of Mr. McCurdy on the 22nd of August, 1824. So the idea is to have this layer of trail markers ready by 2024 for the bicentennial of the tour. So I would emphasize one thing, though. As a Frenchman, I'm here and I see all the debate going on in this country about the Revolutionary War. And I do want to point out that Lafayette has a unique legacy with that regard. He's very uniting. He has the ability to rally everybody regardless of, you know, cultural background or political affiliations. So I think like his legacy in 2020 is resonating in a lot of ways. And personally, it's my personal contribution to building the future of the Franco-American relations at community, state, and federal levels. So I do hope that we can get something done in line. I would love to. So I don't know where you are internally with the discussion, but it would be great to have Lyme on the Lafayette Trail as far as I'm concerned.
Great. So I think where we are, Cindy, maybe you can weigh in too, that Julien made this proposal to us a few meetings ago, and I think we agreed that we thought this was a good idea. And but in the interim, we have contacted the homeowner of the actual house, and she is unwilling to have the sign placed anywhere on her property. So we thought we could place it across the street, so that which would involve having the sign say something about looking, some indication on the sign itself of which house it is that we're trying to point out. But the actual location, I think we all felt, was sort of a nice location, nestled in close-ish to the tree on Church Corner. I think you all saw the photographs. So that's where we are.
Jeannie, just a quick question. Have the new members seen the sign?
Which members?
Yes.
The new members. Have they
Well, I
seen
came to
a
them in an email. And Martha sent out the packet to everybody.
Yes, I have seen them.
Okay.
Okay, not the packet with the maps, the picture of the sign.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
sent,
Yes, I have.
resent in the last few days.
Okay,
Carolyn and Deb, have you seen it?
Yes, I saw it.
Yes,
I
I
must
have.
confess I didn't look at it too carefully, but I did receive it, and I did just get an impression of it.
Right.
I
So
can look more
we have,
closely.
Julianne, I think I'm correct in saying that we do have a little, we have an ability to oversee what the sign says.
So the thing is, with the Pomeroy Foundation and my organization, eventually, since this is our funding, I feel like, especially the Pomeroy Foundation, when they get the last word as to what the marker is going to read, but we certainly welcome any input from the locals as far as you're concerned. You could definitely tell me, okay, this is what we would like to see on the marker, and I would use your proposal in the application process for the Pomeroy Foundation to look at in priority, okay? So I make suggestions all the time to make it easy for the local recipients.
Our issue is not with, explaining about the visit itself. You already sent some sample language. Our issue is we have to have something on that sign that will indicate to whoever's looking at the sign, the house in question is across the street.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So I mean, based on what you're telling me now, I can try to craft a new proposal that will have a line of text giving a little more about the location. So like, across the house across the street, something like that. I think it would be easy to add on the text. So I can work on that, or you can take directly yourself the proposals I gave you a few weeks ago, and you can craft it however you want, whichever way you want to go. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever you feel comfortable with is what I'm going to go for. But just so you know, eventually, this is up to the Pomeroy Foundation ultimately to approve the language of the marker, even though we welcome your input at every step of the process.
And does the marker have the text on both sides?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that an easy way of citing the house is just give its address, which is 1 Lime Street.
Could do.
I mean, that's very short and sweet. And
But
there's a marker of 1.
Yeah. The only problem with that is that is it clear that that's 1 Lime Street? When I think the sign where it's placed, which I think is very lovely, where we feel it should go. But if you weren't paying attention, you'd think it was the Luddington House that's now the rectory for Christ the King, because it's right there. Or the Rooster Hall.
I agree, Jeannie. It would seem like that the rectory would be the site.
It just has to be clear which house we're talking about. That's all. And maybe putting 1 Lime Street is all it needs, as long as 1 Lime Street is clearly marked on 1 Lime Street. I don't know that it is, but yeah.
Well, we can look at that.
Can you tell me where the marker would go exactly? Yeah. Like I know exactly where it's going to be, so it would give me like a better understanding, I suppose.
We should send you the photograph.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I can do is once you send me the photograph, I can send you an updated language
Yeah.
proposal. So
Do that.
to whoever
Have we sent
wants it.
you? Have you received the map of that part of Limes of Old Lyme?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
No, I don't think I have.
We received, and we can send this to you, a very clear map that shows the house, the church, and the Ludington house, and then the piece of property that this would fit on.
Okay.
I think that would be helpful, just so you can visualize it.
Yeah. Then
Yeah,
you can
'cause,
see what we mean.
I'm going to need the GPS coordinates of that spot to prepare the package for you. So I mean, if you can't get me the GPS coordinates, that's fine. I'll just look at the photo and calculate it myself. But yeah, I do want to get you this proposal for the text so you can take a look at it and tell me if you're comfortable with me submitting the language as it is. So I'm happy to do that for you. You just need to tell me where the marker will go and who to send an email to.
And as for the rest of the committee here, have you, what do you think about the proposed location?
Deanie, I think it's a good location. If the homeowner does not want it on their property, and that's own property, that seems like a good site.
Deanie, I have a question. We all know that the house in question, that the property owner is trying to sell the house. Is there any, since as I'm new to this, but it seems as if this needs to be in place by 2024. Would there be any thought of waiting a little bit to see if perhaps a new property owner might permit the sign to be placed on that property, and then all of these questions wouldn't need to be considered?
I think that's an excellent idea, because the place where we originally had proposed placing it was out of view of the house. If you were in the house, you would not have seen the sign. But the current homeowner is afraid, I think, that people will think the house is a museum, so she just doesn't want to do it. But that's not to say a new owner would feel that way.
Right.
So I think if we can wait, Julianne, if we could wait, even if we could wait a year, maybe the house would sell and we'd have a different situation.
I think we could agree that we would place the marker, and we could agree on the design and all the language except for the possible need to insert this description of the place. So the marker could be ready to go, but the installation could take place perhaps a little bit later.
Yeah.
Well, I can't commit to telling you that a year from now I'm going to be able to give you the same opportunity. That's the thing, because it's like a three-party partnership. I have my own personal situation in the balance, and we have to install markers. I have no idea if I will be able to secure the funding marker a year from now. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you can wait, you can take that risk, but a year from now I may tell you, sorry, I can't get you the marker anymore. But you can take the risk.
Well, but I think what's just been proposed is that we would say we will definitely take a marker, but we just can't commit to where exactly we will place it at the moment. If we could.
I don't know that the Palmyra Foundation would accept that. We have never done it. We've placed already. We have approved 20 markers already around the country, and I mean, not all of them have been installed, but we know exactly where they will be installed. Like, I don't think they're going to approve a location, a marker, if they don't know where the marker will go. That's actually, I can actually almost say right now that they would not approve that. Knowing where the marker will go, that it's a safe location, that the landowner is on board, all of that is part of the application process. So if you're thinking that way, it might be better to wait another year to see, who the next owner is. But then again, a year from now, I may tell you, sorry, I don't have the money anymore. It's just up to you.
Julian, could we indicate one Lime Street, which would work for both locations?
Yeah.
And then put the prime location and then provide an alternate location should in the future permission be granted for the home. In other words, indicate the location that we know works or is agreed upon, but then also have an alternate location approved.
We've never done that. I mean, I'm on your side. I'm happy to explore whatever to accommodate you. I cannot make commitments alone here. You know, like we have a process established. I need to explore the flexibility that I can enjoy. But you're asking me to make a commitment that I don't have the authority to make by myself, so I can't do that. I can tell you just what we've been doing so far.
Could you ask your board or your committee whether they would accept that from us?
Sure, I can. I mean, I can explore. I'll ask a question and I'll get back to you.
The one thing you should remember is that this visit in 1824 was Lafayette's second visit to this house, because he was there five years before, 4 to 5 years before, and so this house kind of has been visited by Lafayette twice in two very different kinds of situations.
Well, I don't know about the first one. I mean, it might have been during the Revolutionary War. 5 years.
It was during the Revolutionary War, and it was. I mean, it is well. That visit is also well documented.
Right. Well, but that's a different. Well, we focus on 1824 specifically, though. So that like, I don't know that we have room for the marker that mentioned the Revolutionary War.
No, I'm not saying add that. I'm just saying that this house is special and everything because of.
Right. Well, that's why I contacted you, because there is a link to the Revolutionary War.
We could try and submit language. We could draft our own. John, you could draft something and we could submit it to them and see if they approve it.
Okay.
That's fine too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna inquire on your behalf for the location question that you just made. I'm gonna see what I can do for you here. And yeah, let's just do that. So why don't you craft me a language on your side, and I'm gonna see what I can do for your location question. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. And also, if you will communicate that to Martha, because she's your established point of contact, and then she can distribute it to us.
Okay. I'll communicate with her.
All right. And let me just emphasize, this project that you're doing is a terrific project, and we really, both in terms of Lafayette's overall impact, and secondly, that what you're doing. So we're here to kind of solve this together. We're not resisting anything. We're in fact embracing your proposal 200%.
That's nice. Oh no, I appreciate that. Well, I mean, many Americans that I've talked to, I mean, you know, they understand that France is a special ally, I hope. So the thing is, if you don't build that relationship in the future, it's not going to be nearly as strong. So that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, you don't do it just on Twitter or with like a handshake between two presidents. In this country, you have to do it at community and state level, so that takes resources, time, and energy. So that's what I'm trying to do. And of course, you have to be respectful of the democratic process that are strongly.
We're on board.
Here, here.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I'm on your side. I want to get it done. I will do my inquiry for the location. I can commit as to what the answer will be, but I can certainly tell you that I will do my best to address your inquiry. Okay.
And whatever the answer is, then we'll work with that as we go forward.
Okay. So you have my email address, I suppose, so you can.
Martha, we do.
Yeah.
We'll
So
communicate anything to Martha.
whenever you get a chance, your language proposal, I'll look at it. Make sure it's like less than 27 characters per line, including spaces. It's not a lot of space. That's the problem. But you can try to craft something, and I may modify it a little bit so it fits the format that we have as a requirement. But again, I'm on your side. Okay, I wanna help as much as I can. And, next time you treat me for coffee. Who knows?
You said 27 characters per line. Remind us how many lines?
5 lines. So you have, the title is generic. It's going to be Lafayette Store. As a matter of consistency, we're going to have this title everywhere with the logo of my company on top and the credit of the Palmyra Foundation at the bottom. And then every line of text has to be supported by primary source materials. That would be the only question mark I would have for your inquiry about putting, one-line streets, because that's kind of a modern way to refer to it. Usually we say across the street or, like on the left or, but I mean, just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it can't be done. So I'm happy to try, but it may have to be a different geographic reference to the house. But we can try with that and see how it turns out. Okay.
All right.
Do you have any more questions on your side, like anything that bothers you or anything that my presentation didn't cover?
No.
I think we're fine, and we want to talk a little bit among ourselves, just so that we're organized and we respond to you very quickly. Okay?
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to your response, and when you get a chance.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Danny, I would
Have a
like
good
to
day.
just. Going to suggest. John, is this something that you would be comfortable crafting, working with Jeannie?
You're asking me?
You're the one that suggested it, John Forbes.
I know you came up with the suggestions. No, but I'm just not a good author. I mean, or maybe Caroline.
Carolyn. How about Carolyn?
How about John and I work together? We'll get back to you. But I
Okay.
haven't seen the text, so I need something to work with.
Oh, have you not seen the sample text?
Maybe I got it, Deanie. I'm sorry if so. I read it quickly. I didn't really pay attention.
I think it's in Martha's packet she sent.
All right.
Yeah.
She sent it October 1st, which was last Thursday.
Okay.
11:48.
But you want text? Do you want draft text?
Well, within there is a sheet of his suggestions on the text.
Got it. But do you want text that includes One Lime Street? I thought Julianne's point was probably, pretty well founded, at least for me, that One Lime Street is a very modern designation. It doesn't really fit with.
And I'm perfectly fine. No, I'm not fixed with One Lime Street. I think I agree with what he said. Therefore, I think across the street is probably more appropriate.
Right.
Place the tree across the street. I mean, if the house were to sell and the new owners would agree, it would no longer be across the street. It would be
correct,
obvious. Yeah.
So just procedurally, so I'm clear, Carolyn and I will look at the draft language, come up with something, take it to Deanie to get her input, and then bring it back to the commission so everybody can have some input.
Well, I don't think you need to come to me. I mean, that you're just the next time. But I think the only addition, other than the place, the directionality, would be if we want to include what John Forbes just suggested, some words to the effect that this was Lafayette's second visit. Right, John Forbes? That's what you.
No, I'm not fixed on that. Because I think. It was the second visit was so that.
John, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Sorry?
I can't hear you. Your voice is breaking up.
I'm sorry. I can let the phone drop. I'm not. I don't take my second visit comment because I think it's more important to be very clear what house it is and so forth.
Right.
On the marker, the sample that was sent in that email, if you look at it, it says Lafayette's tour, and it the last sentence on the marker said near this site and the date of June 30th. I also saw in Sag Harbor yesterday that there was a marker just like this for a published first location of a newspaper in Long Island, and it said, it was a historic marker just like this, and it said, at this site. So I think two of them say at this site or near this site, rather than giving an actual street address.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly comfortable with that.
But in this case, we actually know the actual house, you know, and so I think it would be interesting for people to know that it's this house where Lafayette was anyway. Let's see what Carolyn and John Noyes come up with.
We'll try.
It may be that other language was there because the house is no longer there. So
Right. At this site, right. If it were on that same side, I think it's nice to say this is part of what Old Lyme is. We still have these buildings. So it's nice.
we can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. In Marty Ames, the front parlor of Marty Ames' house, and then the bedroom upstairs, there's also demarcation that this is where Lafayette was here and Washington was here and so forth.
The Washington claim's is a little less certain, I think, Joan.
Just to double check, the strip of land in front of the house where Lafayette actually visited, is that private land or town land?
I think on the other side of the sidewalk, it's her land.
On the other side of the walk?
I mean, on the side of the walk that's on the house property, it's her land.
Well, is it an option if this isn't going to go into until be installed until 2024 to plan to put it on the town land right in front of the house?
Let's take another look at that, Cindy. I mean, I think maybe we were trying to not to anger, not to upset Marty Ames. But it's true. My understanding is on the other side, on the street side of the sidewalk, that's town property.
It's true, yeah.
Probably Marty Ames won't be there in 2024, so hopefully it wouldn't be upsetting to her, in fact, to her personally, once the sale is completed.
Of course.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean, 4 years goes by, but we have a bit of time.
Okay.
She could, I suppose, change your mind about selling, and then we have the issue.
Okay.
I would hope there was a way to have the sign right at the house.
And that's certainly the best option, to make a clear connection for anyone that's looking at it between that property, that house, and that event in 1824. That makes it straightforward.
Deanie, the last thing that I'm not clear of is when you and Cindy visited, if you could just tell me, and we could walk over, but where exactly, so it's not visible from the parlor and from the upstairs, where exactly in front of the house you would choose to put it if possible. If you could let me know, John or me know that would be great.
All right, I will. But I can just tell you very simply, if you're driving up Ferry Road, right up to Lime Street,
yes,
and you look really directly in front of you, there's a little bit patch of grass between a tree and between the property line for the for the rectory of the church.
Yes,
it's still Marty Ames land, and that's where we thought it would be least visible to the residents of the house, and in some ways most visible to passersby.
Great, I get it. Thanks.
Yeah. That's number one choice.
Good.
That's if Marty sells the house.
Right.
Okay, well, that's probably all we can accomplish on that right now. Right.
Now let's go to our next item called the Secretary's report. Our Secretary is not here, so I don't think we have any information there. Are there any other items you'd like to bring up before the commission?
John, this is Ross. Since we had the discussion about the annex building, I did want to bring to the commission's attention the point that I mentioned about having the historic district outlined on the actual town GIS system. The idea being that there's overlays that are what they call themes on the town. And by having the town historic district on the GIS map, it makes it very clear what auxiliary buildings would be included in the district. It actually has a wider purpose that anybody that goes to the town GIS site would actually be able to very clearly where the whether or not their particular house and or auxiliary building is in the district. I have a couple of images, if I could just share right quick, like the National Park Service actually has the, let's see if I'm sharing the content here. The National Park Service actually has kind of what I would suggest, which is a historic district in a computer format on their GIS system. And
That's really useful, Russell. That's great. We should have that. Yeah.
I'm curious about something that was tangentially related to the sidewalk project. Who actually determines the contours of the historic district? I'm thinking about what, there are historic houses down Ferry Road. Why should the historic district not include those houses?
Well, let me say, obviously when we were set up, there was a lot of yinging and yanging around and everything.
I can't hear you, John. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
No,
Is this better?
No.
no.
No, it's not better. Then I'll have to wait
Ned,
till
maybe
next-
when Ned is here next, he can speak to that more clearly.
Okay. Well, it's not, nothing that needs immediate attention, but I still feel myself to be relatively new to this group, so I missed some history.
My understanding was when the district was created, I think in 1970, it had to be delineated, and I think it's from Rose Lane on Route 1 all the way to Church Corner, and then 300 feet, the center line of Lime Street, and that's the actual legal description of it. But you're absolutely correct. Ferry Road, Sill Lane, Library Lane. I mean, it's full of historic houses, but it was created as a legal entity at that time.
A lot of people fought against it. I know on Beckwith Lane, Academy Lane, they fought against it. They didn't want to be part of it.
Oh, well, then that's an explanation too.
But owners will have changed, and I think the sort of overall prevailing historic consciousness is maybe stronger now than it was in 1970. It might be something worthwhile revisiting, at least for Ferry Road.
Mm-hmm. It really might be. And it also affords us protection against federal projects too. It's a very useful designation to have.
Could I make a suggestion that
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Can't hear John.
I'll dial in on different.
While I'm dialing in, Deanie, I'll just share. Here's an example using the same GIS system that we have in Old Lyme. The red outline that you see there is the historic, and this is the old town of Nantucket as an example.
Mhm.
So whatever that legal description ends up being, it should be able to be surveyed, precisely. And we have maps, but I think you would take the legal description, and I think it's just important to have that overlay because it can be very useful, even in the auxiliary building study that we're working on right now. But as you can imagine, it would be useful for the Historic District Commission on all of our projects, just to know where that line is and where the buildings are relative to that.
I agree. Very important. Yeah. Maybe the historic survey can help us somehow. That was a sort of a big project, $33,000. So, that may be another reference point for us.
I don't know if there's a particular, it sounds like to me that probably the first step is to get the clear legal definition of what the lines are. That if they change at all, then we would need to know that. And that it's simply working with the, I can't remember who it is that's running the GIS system, but having a discussion about adding that technically, to the map.
Okay.
I would favor, Russ, that you and or John begin to have that discussion about what needs to be done and can outline of the district as you showed us be put on currently.
Right. That's the outline of the National Park Service website. Yeah.
Right.
They actually got that outline from, I'm not exactly sure, but it's on their website.
Does anybody have anything else they want to add in?
John, I just wanted to make sure that I'm on this, our authority over signage. I'm happy to contact the town attorney, but
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
yes.
On noise,
Yes.
I think that would be great if you looked into that. But the person who has repeatedly made clear that we do have that authority is Mary Dunn at SHPO. Mary Dunn, D-U-N-N-E. And she's the contact at the State Historic Preservation at SHPO, a State Historic Preservation Office. And she has, she's the one who Martha or we always direct the questions to. And she has on at least 2 occasions that I can remember come back and clarified our jurisdiction of signage. So she might be a good place to start.
Oh, that's a great idea. If you could send me her information. I mean, I'm happy to carry the ball on this. My comment to Tim or my question to Tim, which I didn't hear back from him about, was who's the town attorney and how do I get in touch with him or her? I don't know.
Maybe start with SHPO just so that, because I think they're under the they believe that we do have that jurisdiction. So if it has to go beyond their authority, then maybe we go to the town attorney.
I mean, that's easy. I'll just send them a copy of the questions that I had.
I'll send that to you, her contact.
What I would do is, John, I would ask Martha to call Mary Dunn and introduce you. And that's just because Martha has that relationship and works
She
with
does.
her a great deal.
Okay, that's a great idea too.
I apologize for my phone not working. Is there anything else before the commission? I want to thank everyone for a rigorous discussion on the trees. And I think that fortunately, I've worked a lot with the tree commission on our trees, and Joanne is very rigorous in protecting our trees. Is there any other business you'd like to bring up? Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Yes,
I'm sorry, John, just a technical point, since Jeff is not here, do we have to designate? I think this is the only thing we've actually voted on, adjournment, but who is authorized to vote? Which alternate fills in?
Well, I think generally we handle that as the first part of the meeting. And we'll just handle it at the first part of the meeting at our next meeting.
I'm not following. Don't the minutes usually reflect who's voting?
Oh. Well, it would be anyone who's a member, and it would be Deanie, there's alternate members and full members. Let me do this. I will talk to Martha and ask her to make sure that that part of the minutes is correct, okay?
Any dissent on the motion to adjourn, but I'm just asking
Okay.
for the minutes. That I don't think once one member is absent, that all three alternates.
Okay, I will make sure. I will talk to Martha and we'll make sure that that part of the minutes are correct.
Okay.
Well, John, you're at a good point. It would be good as an alternate, speaking as an alternate, it would be good to know when we're supposed to vote or not vote when it comes. If there could be clarification,
absolutely. We
that would be
normally
very
do.
helpful. Yeah.
Russ, we normally do that, and I was the one who, I should have done that right at the beginning.
I haven't voted until now, so.
Good.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Thank you very much, and thank you for both a very good discussion with Joanne and the trees, and also with on the and Deanie. I really appreciate the work that you did on the Lafayette tour. Thank you.
Good.
And Cynthia too. Adios.
yes.
Adjourned. Thank
We're
you.
adjourned.
Bye.
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 Thank